Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wanted someone to think about you when you're not around? To feel that magnetic pull toward you even in your absence? Today I'm going to share with you 9 powerful principles that will transform how others perceive you. Specifically, how to become someone who is deeply missed when you're not present. Before we dive in, I want you to understand something crucial. True connection isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about becoming someone of genuine value. Someone whose absence creates a void that cannot be filled by anyone else. That's what we're discussing today. I remember standing at a crossroads in my own life. I was that person desperately seeking validation, always available, always waiting. And guess what? Nobody missed me when I wasn't around because I never gave them the chance to. My constant presence became expected rather than appreciated. That realization changed everything for me. The principles I'm about to share come from years of studying human psychology, relationship dynamics, and yes, even the darker aspects of how our minds work. But remember this: we're using this knowledge for growth, not manipulation. The difference between influence and manipulation is intent. One builds, the other destroys. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how we tend to value what we can't readily have? It's human nature. We appreciate what we earn more than what's freely given. We cherish what feels special rather than what feels common. This understanding forms the foundation of everything I'll share today. Principle number 1, establish your value through genuine excellence. People don't miss mediocrity, they miss excellence. They miss what adds substantial value to their lives. Think about that person whose advice always helps you solve problems, or that friend whose humor brightens even your darkest days. What makes you valuable isn't pretending to be something you're not. It's developing yourself into someone who genuinely enhances others' lives. I spent years trying to be what I thought others wanted instead of developing my own strengths. I was a chameleon, changing colors depending on who was around. And guess what? When I wasn't around, no one particularly noticed because I hadn't shown them anything authentic to miss. Excellence isn't about perfection. It's about authentic contribution. Develop skills that serve others, cultivate wisdom worth sharing, create moments worth remembering. Be the person who listens deeply when everyone else is waiting to speak. Discover what unique value you can bring, and then bring it consistently. Excellence isn't showing off. It's showing up with the best of what you have to offer. When you become genuinely excellent at something valuable, people notice your absence. They feel it. They miss your specific contribution because no one else provides exactly what you do. This isn't about becoming famous or extraordinary in the world's eyes. It's about becoming irreplaceable to the specific people in your life. Principle number 2, master the art of selective availability. This isn't about playing games or being deceptive. It's about understanding a fundamental truth of human psychology. We cannot appreciate what we never have the opportunity to miss. Constant availability creates the illusion of permanence. When something feels permanent, we take it for granted. That's just human nature. I used to be available at all hours, responding instantly to every message, dropping everything whenever someone wanted my time. I thought this demonstrated my loyalty and affection. Instead, it communicated something else entirely, that my time had no value, that I had no other priorities, that I would always be there regardless of how I was treated. Selective availability means having a full, rich life with multiple priorities. It means sometimes saying, I can't tonight, but how about next week? It means occasionally being unreachable because you're fully engaged elsewhere. It means having boundaries around your time that you respectfully maintain. This principle works because it reflects reality rather than manipulation. None of us can truly be available for everything and everyone at all times. Pretending otherwise is unsustainable and ultimately dishonest. When you honor your own limits and priorities, you teach others to value the time they do get with you. Remember, people appreciate what they earn more than what's freely given without condition. When your presence must be scheduled rather than assumed, it becomes something to look forward to rather than something taken for granted. Your absence creates space for anticipation and appreciation to grow. Principle number 3, become a master of positive unpredictability. Routine creates comfort, but unpredictability creates excitement. The human brain is wired to notice and remember what surprises it. When everything is predictable, our minds move into autopilot. We stop fully experiencing what's happening because we think we already know what's coming. I once lived my life like a metronome, perfectly predictable in every way. Same conversations, same activities, same responses. And while this created a sense of stability, it also created something else: boredom. People knew exactly what they would get from me in every situation. There was no mystery, no anticipation, no pleasant surprises. Positive unpredictability means occasionally breaking patterns in delightful ways. It means sometimes bringing flowers when there's no special occasion. It means suggesting an adventure when routine would be expected. It means expressing a thought or perspective that shows you're still growing, still evolving, still capable of surprising. This isn't about being erratic or unreliable. Your core values and commitments should remain rock solid. The unpredictability I'm describing exists within the framework of reliability. You're dependably present, but refreshingly unpredictable in how you show up. This combination creates a presence that's both comforting and exciting. When you master positive unpredictability, people never feel they've fully figured you out. There's always another layer to discover, another surprise to experience. They miss you because your absence means missing the next delightful surprise you might have brought into their day. Principle number 4, cultivate emotional security and independence. Nothing creates stronger attachment than the combination of emotional safety and emotional freedom. When people feel completely safe with you, yet never confined by you, they experience the rarest form of connection, one that enhances rather than restricts. I once believed that creating dependency was the path to being missed. If someone needed me enough, surely they would miss me when I wasn't around. What I discovered instead was that dependency creates resentment, not affection. True missing, the kind that feels like a pull rather than an obligation, comes from respect, not need. Emotional security means being consistent in your core values and how you treat others. It means being reliable in matters of trust. It means creating an environment where others feel safe to be themselves without judgment. When you provide this kind of security, you become a rare source of peace in an often chaotic world. Emotional independence means respecting others' autonomy. It means supporting their growth even when it takes them in directions different from yours. It means loving without possessing and caring without controlling. This freedom within connection is what makes people come back by choice rather than obligation. When you combine security with independence, you create a paradoxical effect. People feel simultaneously free and connected in your presence. This rare combination becomes something they miss profoundly in your absence because few others offer both qualities simultaneously. Principle number 5, master the art of deep presence. In an age of constant distraction, complete attention has become one of the rarest gifts we can offer. Most interactions today happen through the fog of divided attention. One eye on the phone, one ear listening to conversation, mind already moving to the next task. I spent years priding myself on multitasking. I could hold a conversation while checking emails, planning my schedule, and thinking about something else entirely. I was physically present but mentally absent. And then I realized something profound. Nobody misses someone who was never really there in the first place. Deep presence means engaging with your full being. It means putting the phone away and turning your body toward the person speaking. It means asking questions that show you're not just hearing words, but seeking understanding. It means remembering details because you were actually paying attention when they were shared. This kind of presence creates memories that linger. When you are fully present, you create moments of genuine connection that stand out in a world of shallow interactions. People remember how you made them feel, seen and heard. They remember the relief of not having to compete with a screen for your attention. When you master deep presence, your absence creates a noticeable void. The contrast between your focused attention and the distracted presence of others becomes stark. People miss you because interactions with you feel different, more satisfying, more real, more complete than what they typically experience. Principle number 6, become a source of consistent positive energy. Energy is contagious, and we are naturally drawn to those who enhance our emotional state rather than depleting it. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying life's difficulties. It's about bringing a resilient, constructive energy to your interactions. I once believed that sharing every negative thought and emotion was the essence of authenticity. I would dump my frustrations, complaints, and criticisms freely, wearing my problems like badges of honesty. What I failed to see was how this affected those around me, how it made interactions with me feel like work rather than rejuvenation. Consistent positive energy doesn't mean being artificially happy. It means approaching challenges with a solution-focused mindset. It means choosing courage over complaint when facing difficulties. It means seeking the constructive path forward rather than dwelling in what's wrong. It means being honest about struggles while maintaining faith in possibility. This energy creates a unique effect. People feel better after spending time with you than they did before. You become a source of renewal rather than depletion. In a world where many interactions leave people feeling drained, you offer the opposite experience. This isn't about what you do or say as much as the spirit you bring. When you become this source of positive energy, people notice your absence because the energy in the room changes when you're not there. Conversations drift toward criticism more easily. Challenges seem more daunting. The path forward feels less clear. They miss not just you, but how they feel when you're around. Principle number 7, master the balance of vulnerability and strength. Humans are drawn to those who demonstrate both capabilities, the courage to be authentic about difficulties and the resilience to overcome them. This combination creates a connection that goes beyond surface attraction to something much deeper. I once believed strength meant never showing weakness. I constructed an image of unwavering confidence and capability, but this perfection wasn't relatable. It created distance rather than connection. Later, I swung to the opposite extreme, sharing every insecurity and struggle, which created connection, but not admiration. Balance was the key I had missed. Vulnerability means having the courage to share your authentic experiences, including uncertainties and challenges. It means removing the mask of perfection and allowing others to see your humanity. This creates relatability and trust. It tells others they don't have to be perfect around you either. Strength means demonstrating resilience in the face of those same challenges. It means showing that vulnerability doesn't equal weakness. It means taking responsibility for your growth and facing difficulties with courage. This creates respect and confidence. It tells others they can rely on you even through difficulties. When you master this balance, you create a profound form of connection. People feel simultaneously understood in their struggles and inspired by your example. They miss you because few others manage this delicate balance. Most either hide their struggles behind a facade of perfection or become defined by their difficulties. Principle number 8, cultivate genuine curiosity about others. Few things are more memorable than the experience of being truly seen and understood. In a world where most conversations remain at the surface, a person who seeks to genuinely understand others becomes remarkable by that quality alone. I spent years talking about myself, my experiences, my opinions, my knowledge. I thought this would make me interesting and memorable. What I discovered instead was that people were much more engaged when I became interested, rather than trying to be interesting. The most magnetic quality wasn't what I shared, but how I listened. Genuine curiosity means asking questions not to respond, but to understand. It means remembering what matters to someone and following up about it later. It means noticing changes in someone's energy or expression and caring enough to explore what might be behind those changes. It means setting aside assumptions to discover what's actually true for this unique person. This curiosity creates a profound effect. People feel seen for who they truly are rather than who they're expected to be. In a world where most are satisfied with surface understanding, your depth of interest stands out. You become someone who knows them in a way others don't, who sees dimensions others miss. When you cultivate this genuine curiosity, people miss your unique way of seeing them. Your absence means returning to a world where they feel less fully known and understood. They miss the experience of being truly seen, which is one of the deepest human needs and rarest human experiences. Principle number 9, master the art of meaningful closure. How you end interactions shapes how you'll be remembered until the next one. Most endings are rushed, distracted, or incomplete. A person who creates meaningful closure to conversations and encounters leaves a lingering impression that deepens in their absence. I used to end conversations abruptly, already mentally moving to the next task or person. I would glance at my phone while saying goodbye or start walking away mid-sentence. What I failed to understand was that these endings were erasing the positive impressions created during our time together. The last few moments were overwriting everything that came before. Meaningful closure means being fully present until the very end of an interaction. It means expressing specific appreciation for something that occurred during your time together. It means creating a sense of continuity by referencing something to look forward to in your next encounter. It means ending with the same quality of attention with which you began. This practice creates a distinctive effect. People leave interactions with you feeling valued rather than dismissed. The appreciation you express becomes what they carry with them. The anticipation you create becomes what they look forward to. The full attention you maintain until the very end becomes what they remember. When you master meaningful closure, people miss you because the transition from your presence to your absence feels significant rather than casual. Your departure leaves a noticeable shift in their experience rather than simply a change in who happens to be physically present. They miss you because you left in a way that made your absence felt. Now let me share something deeper about these principles. Each one is powerful alone, but together they create something greater than the sum of their parts. They form a way of being that naturally draws others towards you, not through manipulation or games, but through genuine value and authentic connection. I want to emphasize that these principles aren't about creating a false persona or manipulating emotions. They're about becoming your best authentic self. Someone with the emotional intelligence to understand human psychology and the integrity to use that understanding constructively. The goal isn't to trick someone into missing you. It's to become someone worth missing. The most powerful insight I've gained through years of studying these dynamics is this: people don't ultimately miss your presence. They miss how they feel in your presence. They miss who they get to be when they're with you. They miss the version of themselves that your interaction brings to life. This understanding shifts everything. Instead of focusing on making someone miss you, focus on creating interactions that allow others to experience their best selves. When you consistently create this effect, your absence naturally creates a desire for your return, not because of what they're missing about you, but because of what they're missing about themselves when you're gone. Let's take the first principle deeper, establishing value through genuine excellence. This isn't just about skills or knowledge. It's about the quality of being you bring to every interaction. Excellence can show up as exceptional kindness, as unusual patience, as remarkable perceptiveness, as uncommon wisdom. I once focused exclusively on professional excellence, thinking my skills were what made me valuable. What I discovered was that while skills open doors, It was the quality of character that made people truly miss my presence. Skills impressed, but character connected. Both mattered, but in different ways and to different degrees. The excellence that makes you missed isn't always visible or dramatic. Sometimes it's the consistency of your positive attitude when others would complain. Sometimes it's your ability to find humor in difficult situations. Sometimes it's your capacity to remain calm when everything is chaotic. Excellence comes in countless forms, many of them subtle but profound. Consider what unique excellence you already bring. What do people consistently appreciate about interacting with you? What do they seek you out for specifically? What need do you fulfill that others typically don't? This isn't about ego. It's about honest self-awareness. You cannot consciously offer what you don't recognize you possess. Once you identify your natural excellence, invest in developing it further. If people value your insight, deepen your wisdom through study and reflection. If they appreciate your humor, refine your timing and observation. If they seek your calm presence, strengthen your emotional regulation through practice. Excellence isn't static. It's a continuous journey of refinement. Moving to the second principle, selective availability, let's explore what this looks like in practice. This principle is frequently misunderstood as playing games with people's emotions. That's not what creates lasting impact. What works is having a genuinely full life with appropriate boundaries around your time and energy. I learned this lesson through painful experience. By being endlessly available, I not only trained others to undervalue my time, but also prevented myself from developing in other areas of life. My constant availability came not from generosity, but from lack of other priorities, lack of self-respect, lack of healthy boundaries. Selective availability means having a balanced life with multiple meaningful commitments. It means having work that engages you, personal goals you're pursuing, other relationships you're nurturing, and self-care practices you maintain. It means sometimes being unavailable not as a strategy, but as a natural consequence of living fully. This principle shouldn't be implemented suddenly or artificially. If you've established a pattern of constant availability, an abrupt change will seem manipulative rather than authentic. Instead, gradually build a richer life with more diverse commitments. Let your availability naturally adjust as your life becomes more balanced. The key insight here is that people value what they have to plan for. When someone knows you're making time specifically for them, choosing them among other options rather than defaulting to them in the absence of options, the interaction carries more meaning. Your time feels valuable because it demonstrably is valuable. The third principle, positive unpredictability, deserves deeper exploration as well. This quality creates anticipation because the human brain is wired to seek novelty. When interactions follow an identical pattern every time, the brain begins to automate its responses. Novelty wakes the brain up, making experiences more vivid and memorable. I discovered this through observation of the most magnetic people in my life. What made them compelling wasn't just their positive qualities, but the fact that those qualities expressed themselves in unpredictable ways. You knew they would be kind, but you didn't know exactly how that kindness would manifest. You knew they would be insightful, but you couldn't predict what unique perspective they might offer. Positive unpredictability doesn't require grand gestures or constant innovation. It can be as simple as taking a different route to a familiar destination, trying a new restaurant instead of the usual place, asking an unexpected question that opens a fresh avenue of conversation, sharing a new insight you've gained from recent reading or experience. The key is maintaining consistency in your values while varying your expressions of those values. Your reliability creates trust. Your unpredictability creates interest. Together, they create a presence that offers both comfort and excitement, a rare combination that becomes particularly noticeable in your absence. This quality becomes especially powerful when combined with the fourth principle, emotional security and independence. When people feel completely safe with you, yet never confined by you, They experience the freedom to be authentic without fear of abandonment or control. This creates the strongest form of attachment, one based on choice rather than need. I once believed closeness meant merging identities and becoming inseparable. I would adopt others' interests, adjust my opinions to match theirs, and make myself constantly available. What I created wasn't healthy attachment, but unhealthy enmeshment. People didn't miss me so much as feel relieved by occasional breaks from the intensity. Emotional security comes from consistency in your core values and behavior. It means your responses are predictable in matters of trust. People know you won't betray confidences, won't judge harshly, won't abandon when things get difficult. This consistency creates a foundation of safety that allows authentic connection to flourish. Emotional independence means respecting and encouraging others' autonomy. It means being happy about their other relationships rather than jealous. It means supporting their independent growth even when it temporarily takes them away from you. It means loving without possessing and caring without controlling. When you combine these qualities, being emotionally safe yet never controlling, you create space for the healthiest form of connection. People feel simultaneously secure and free in your presence. They miss you not out of dependency, but out of preference. They return to you not from obligation, but from desire. The fifth principle, deep presence, becomes increasingly valuable in our distracted age. The ability to give complete attention has become so rare that it now stands out dramatically. When most interactions happen through the haze of partial attention, full presence becomes almost startling in its impact. I remember the first time I experienced someone's complete attention after years of distracted interactions. They put their phone away, turned toward me, and listened not just to respond but to understand. They asked questions that showed genuine interest in my perspective. They remembered details from earlier conversations. The experience was so unusual, it felt almost uncomfortable at first, and then profoundly affirming. Deep presence isn't just about external behaviors like maintaining eye contact or nodding at appropriate moments. It's about internal focus, being mentally and emotionally present rather than just physically present. It's about listening to understand rather than listening to respond. It's about seeing the person before you rather than projecting your expectations onto them. This quality creates a distinctive effect. People feel more real, more seen, more valid in your presence. Your attention affirms their significance. In a world where most interactions leave people feeling partially invisible, the experience of being fully seen becomes something they miss acutely in your absence. The sixth principle, consistent positive energy, goes far beyond simplistic positive thinking. It's about the emotional atmosphere you create around you through your response to both positive and negative circumstances. This energy affects everyone in your proximity, often in ways they don't consciously recognize until it's absent. I spent years unaware of how my energy affected others. I would enter rooms already complaining, meet challenges with immediate pessimism, and focus conversations on problems rather than possibilities. What I failed to realize was how this energy was affecting not just my experience, but everyone else's as well. I was making everything harder, not just for myself, but for everyone around me. Consistent positive energy doesn't mean denying reality or suppressing authentic emotions. It means approaching difficulties with the belief that solutions exist. It means meeting challenges with courage rather than complaint. It means recognizing what's wrong while maintaining focus on what could be right. It means choosing constructive paths forward rather than circular patterns of criticism. This energy creates a unique environment around you, one where possibilities seem more accessible and problems more solvable. People feel more capable in your presence because your energy supports their strength rather than amplifying their doubts. You become a source of emotional renewal rather than emotional depletion. When you consistently bring this energy, people notice its absence immediately. Conversations drift toward criticism more easily. Challenges seem more daunting. The path forward feels less clear. They miss not just you, but the version of reality that exists in your presence, one where possibilities remain open and progress feels achievable. The seventh principle, balancing vulnerability and strength, creates a particularly powerful form of connection because it addresses two fundamental human needs simultaneously: the need to be accepted despite imperfection and the need to be inspired toward growth. Few people manage this balance effectively, which makes it especially impactful when you do. I spent the first part of my life hiding vulnerability, believing strength meant never showing weakness. The connection I created was admiration from a distance rather than genuine closeness. Later, I embraced vulnerability without maintaining strength, sharing every struggle without demonstrating resilience. This created sympathy, but not respect. Neither extreme created the kind of missing I was seeking. Vulnerability means having the courage to acknowledge your struggles, fears, and uncertainties. It means removing the mask of perfection and allowing others to see your authentic humanity. This creates relatability and trust. It tells others they don't have to be perfect to be accepted by you. Strength means demonstrating resilience in the face of those same challenges. It means showing that vulnerability doesn't equal defeat. It means taking responsibility for your growth and facing difficulties with courage. This creates respect and confidence. It tells others they can rely on you even during difficult times. When you balance these qualities, being both real about struggles and resilient in facing them, you create a profound form of connection. People feel simultaneously understood in their imperfection and inspired by your example. They miss you because few others offer this unique combination that speaks to both their current reality and their aspirations. The eighth principle, cultivating genuine curiosity, creates a distinctive type of connection because it addresses one of the deepest human desires: to be truly seen, heard, and understood. In a world where most conversations remain superficial, a person who seeks genuine understanding becomes extraordinary by that quality alone. I spent most of my early life talking rather than listening, sharing rather than asking, assuming rather than discovering. I thought being interesting was about having impressive things to say. What I eventually realized was that nothing is more interesting to people than someone who is genuinely interested in them, not in a general sense, but in the specific details that make them uniquely who they are. Genuine curiosity means asking questions without predetermined answers in mind. It means listening for understanding rather than listening for openings to insert your own experience. It means remembering what matters to someone and following up about it later. It means noticing changes in someone's energy or expression and caring enough to explore what might be behind those changes. This quality creates a profound effect. People feel seen for who they truly are rather than who they're expected to be. In a world where most interactions remain at the surface, your depth of interest stands out dramatically. You become someone who knows them in a way others don't, who sees dimensions others miss. When you cultivate this genuine curiosity, people miss your unique way of seeing them. Your absence means returning to a world where they feel less fully known and understood. They miss the experience of being truly seen, which satisfies one of the deepest human needs and provides one of the rarest human experiences. The ninth principle, creating meaningful closure, shapes how you'll be remembered between interactions. Most endings are rushed, distracted, or incomplete. A person who creates intentional closure to conversations and encounters leaves a lingering impression that deepens rather than fades in their absence. I used to end interactions abruptly, already mentally moving to the next task or person. I would glance at my phone while saying goodbye or start walking away mid-sentence. What I failed to understand was that these endings were erasing the positive impressions created during our time together. The last few moments were overwriting everything that came before. Meaningful closure means being fully present until the very end of an interaction. It means expressing specific appreciation for something that occurred during your time together. It means creating a sense of continuity by referencing something to look forward to in your next encounter. It means ending with the same quality of attention with which you began. This practice creates a distinctive effect. People leave interactions with you feeling valued rather than dismissed. The appreciation you express becomes what they carry with them. The anticipation you create becomes what they look forward to. The full attention you maintain until the very end becomes what they remember. When you master meaningful closure, people miss you because the transition from your presence to your absence feels significant rather than casual. Your departure leaves a noticeable shift in their experience rather than simply a change in who happens to be physically present. They miss you because you left in a way that made your absence felt. These 9 principles work together to create something greater than any could accomplish alone. They form a way of being that naturally draws others toward you, not through manipulation or games, but through genuine value and authentic connection. The space created by your absence becomes noticeable because your presence is meaningful in ways that few others achieve. I want to emphasize once more that these principles aren't about creating a false persona or manipulating emotions. They're about becoming a person of genuine substance and depth, someone with the emotional intelligence to understand human psychology and the integrity to use that understanding constructively. The goal isn't to trick someone into missing you. It's to become someone genuinely worth missing. What makes these principles so powerful is that they focus not on short-term techniques, but on lasting personal development. They don't require you to be someone you're not. They invite you to become more fully who you could be. They don't ask you to manipulate others. They challenge you to serve others more meaningfully. The missing they create isn't based on dependency or insecurity, but on genuine appreciation for the unique value you bring. Let me share a deeper truth I've discovered through years of studying these dynamics. What people ultimately miss isn't your physical presence or even specific things you do. What they miss is how they feel in your presence. They miss who they get to be when they're with you. They miss the version of themselves that your interaction brings to life. This insight changes everything. Instead of trying to make someone miss you, focus on creating interactions that allow others to experience their best selves. When you consistently create this effect, your absence naturally creates a desire for your return, not because of what they're missing about you, but because of what they're missing about themselves when you're gone. Consider the people you genuinely miss when they're not around. What is it about their presence that creates that feeling? Is it how interesting they are? Or is it how interesting you feel when you're with them? Is it how much they know, or is it how much they draw out what you know? Is it how special they are, or is it how special you feel in their presence? The most magnetic people aren't those who demand attention, but those who give it skillfully. They aren't those who impress us with their qualities, but those who reflect and amplify our own best qualities. They aren't those who take energy, but those who generate it. They create an experience of connection that becomes noticeable in its absence. Let's take a moment to reflect on how these principles might manifest in your specific situation. Think about the unique value you bring to others' lives. What excellence do you already demonstrate that could be further developed? What positive energy do you naturally create that could be more consistently maintained? What curiosity do you bring that could be more deliberately expressed? The beautiful thing about these principles is that they don't require you to become someone entirely different. They ask you to recognize and amplify what's already best in you while developing areas where growth would serve both you and others. They invite you to become more intentional about qualities you may already possess, but haven't fully leveraged. I want to acknowledge that implementing these principles takes time and practice. You won't transform overnight, and that's not the goal. Gradual, authentic development creates lasting change. Each small shift in how you show up creates new possibilities for connection. Each principle you begin to embody creates new dimensions of value in your presence. Connection isn't about tricks or techniques, it's about authentic presence and mutual value. The principles I've shared aren't shortcuts, but pathways to becoming someone whose absence is genuinely felt, not because you've manipulated emotions, but because you've created genuine meaning. Not because you've played games, but because you've offered something real that isn't easily replaced. As we move toward conclusion, I want to emphasize that these principles apply to all relationships, not just romantic ones. They create meaningful connection with friends, family, colleagues, and anyone else with whom you interact. The foundation of human connection remains consistent across contexts, even though its expression may vary. I also want to acknowledge that different principles will resonate differently depending on your natural strengths and current growth edges. Some may feel like areas where you already excel. Others may highlight opportunities for development. Honor where you are while remaining open to where you could grow. This isn't about perfection, but about continuous evolution. Remember that becoming someone worth missing isn't about abandoning authenticity for strategy. It's about aligning your authentic self with principles that create meaningful connection. It's about showing up in ways that honor both your needs and others' needs. It's about creating value that becomes noticeable in its absence. The ultimate measure of these principles isn't whether someone misses you when you're gone. It's whether the connection you create enhances both your life and others' lives when you're present. Missing is simply the natural consequence of a presence that matters, one that contributes something unique and valuable that isn't readily found elsewhere. As we prepare to continue this exploration, I want to leave you with a thought that has guided my own journey. The quality of your connections determines the quality of your life. Investing in becoming someone who creates meaningful connection isn't just about being missed. It's about creating a life rich in genuine human relationship, the most reliable source of lasting fulfillment we can find. In our next segment, we'll explore how these principles manifest in specific situations and how to overcome common obstacles to implementing them. We'll discuss what to do when old patterns resurface, how to maintain authenticity while practicing new skills, and how to navigate the natural resistance that sometimes arises when you begin showing up differently in established relationships.